If you're anything like me, you can't resist a good watermelon. When I have a good watermelon in front of me, I will eat the whole thing. I'll actually make myself sick eating it. But the problem is, how do you pick a good watermelon? So a little background, I grew up on a 200-acre farm in Virginia, and most of what we grew when I was growing up was cash crops. So we used to grow acres of sweet corn and sell it by the dozen. We grew cucumbers, we grew tomatoes, and we also grew a lot of melons. I remember one field next to our duck pond that probably was 2 to 3 acres. That was all cantaloupe one year. And I also remember some big patches of watermelon. I remember as a kid, as my dad would go out and get a watermelon and we'd sit in the shade and we'd sit there and have it in that triangular piece and we'd eat it together, warm out of the field. But I remember going as far back in my childhood of my dad, like wondering how he could grow and how you could pick a good, nice, ripe, sweet watermelon. So this is our watermelon patch at Piney Grove. I've already terminated 1 or 2 vines because they already got mature, pulled a few melons off of them. But we have 2 types of melons. We have the long, more like I guess a football type of watermelon, although much bigger than the football. And then we have the round ones, and I believe they're called Jubilee. And we've done everything that you need to do to grow good watermelons as far as the soil and watering them. And the reason you're seeing rocks on some of the watermelons is because the Chinese did that a long time ago, centuries ago. And their theory was that the rocks retain heat. So they heat up during the day, and then during the night, they release that heat slowly. And that's supposed to help the watermelon ripen all the way through. I don't know if it works. It's the first time I've tried it. But now that we've kind of opened the gate about a ripe watermelon, let's go over some of the things you're going to find on the internet. And I'm basically going to bust every one of those myths. And I'm not saying they're wrong, but if you go on the internet right now, and especially on YouTube, and they're going to say, make sure the opposite of the stem end is a real small, tight circle. And the second thing that just about everyone is going to advise you on is make sure the stem is dried on the other end, where the watermelon grew, where it got its nutrients, where it got its water from. Well, I can tell you that every one of these stems are going to look about the same. So there's a stem there on a fair-sized watermelon. There's a giant watermelon right there. And we are at the maturity date. And you can see the stem is just starting to dry up. And when I say maturity date, when you plant anything, there's a time when it's done growing and its fruit, even like there's some new watermelons that have started, they're never going to make, just because the vine won't live long enough and be healthy enough to ripen those melons. So I'll just get in here and I'll go ahead and cut them, and we're not going to open them up because they're very immature. But there's no sense here at the end of the life of the vine of it wasting any more energy trying to make this into a viable watermelon. There's just no sense in it. It's just wasting nutrients, it's wasting water. You can see this one, it's got a long way to go. There's no sense in it. And then there's another long one over here. And that last one was a round Jubilee. I don't know the type that these are, these longer ones, but again, it hasn't started to grow. It's not even slightly ripe inside. But I pull them off because I want all the energy of the plant to go into these ones that are getting real close to being picked. So I've covered 2 things that you're going to hear a lot, and I'm not saying they're not true. If you have a big dark end on the opposite end of the stem, maybe the melon didn't grow correctly. So that may be good advice not to buy one with a large black ring on the end, but that doesn't mean just because it has a tight black circle on the end that that's a ripe or that that's a sweet watermelon. As far as the vine, you won't know how long that watermelon's been sitting at your grocery store, at Walmart, alongside the road. So by the time you get it, it could be 2 weeks after it was picked, and all of the stems are going to look dry by then. And also, I can tell you from experience, going all the way back to my dad, he just passed away, 85 years old, and this is him growing watermelon. And I think it goes back to his dad's day too, because they had a farm in New York, that it's just kind of a roll of the dice. You plant them, and then you pick them when you think they're ripe, and one of them will be ripe and sweet and the sweetest watermelon you ever had, and the one right next to it just won't have any flavor. For the most part, they'll be very juicy. There'll be a lot of water in the watermelon, but using the method of a dried stem or a small black end on the opposite of the stem isn't going to guarantee you a ripe, sweet, juicy watermelon. So you're thinking, great, Brad, what do? I really love watermelon, but you're telling me there's no way to pick a ripe one. Probably 10 years ago or so, there's a local farmer's market, and this farmer, local farmer, had a wagon full of watermelons. And he said, guaranteed sweet. You were walking by, and I think that summer, Deb and I had bought 7 watermelons, and maybe one of them was okay. And the rest of them, we either threw most of them away or just cut out the very center that was the sweetest, and even that wasn't that sweet, and ate that just so we felt like we got something for the $10 we paid. And anyway, this guy said, guaranteed sweet. And I was like, guaranteed sweet? I'm in for that. I was like, oh, here's the deal I'll make with you. I said, if we can cut it open and you can give me a piece of it and I eat it and it's sweet, I said, buy it. Guaranteed I'll buy it, $10, whatever your asking price is. And he goes, yeah, deal. So he opened it up. It crackled when it opened, just like it was going to be ripe. It was nice and red. Took a slice of it and ate it, and it was bland. It was like eating water with fiber in it or something. It just didn't have any flavor. And so I said, this doesn't have any flavor. And he ate a piece of it, and he basically wouldn't talk to me anymore. That was it. And I hated to do that to him, but he's the one that said that they were guaranteed sweet, and they weren't. So now let's talk about a farmer and them growing watermelons and why they're not necessarily sweet when you crack them open at home. So this is a very small patch of watermelon. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4 holes in the plastic. Each one of those holes has 2 plants. So we have 8 plants here and probably 4 plants that we've already gotten rid of, as well as the cantaloupe are gone as well. And if you think about a farmer's field, he's going to have this row that goes all the way back there to the pine trees, and he's going to have many rows of them. And when he goes to pick, he's not going to be selective. And if you look, all these watermelons were planted at the same time. This one's huge. 2 over there are huge, but that one's not so big. That one back there is not so big. And here's a small one as well. And there's only 1 or 2 of the round jubilees left. My point is that a farmer doesn't have time. He's going to have his workers go in the field. They're going to go through the field one time, pick everything that looks like it's mature, and then they're going to load it in the truck and sell it at the market or sell it to a middleman, a produce broker that then, ships it around and puts it on the shelf in front of you. That farmer himself has no idea if any of them are sweet. He just knows they've hit their maturity date, they're a good looking melon, and off they go to the supermarket so he can make some money so that next year he can plant them again. That's just the way it works. There's not a way for a farmer to in any way stay in business by hand selecting watermelons and giving them to you sweet. And we've already covered the fact that there's really no way to figure out if they're sweet. So let's take a close look at this one. I would say this one is the most ready in the patch. You can see the vines are dying around it. The vine that it's on, you can see the leaves right here are starting to give up. The stem is not dry, but it's drying up. It's got the nice green striations. And well, as luck would have it, I just noticed that it split. And sometimes they split because of too much rain or too much water. But you can still salvage a split one if you're growing them yourself. So we'll just go ahead and take out that bad part. All right, I just tasted right from the heart. That's the best part of any watermelon. And it's just okay. Got a little bit of watermelon flavor. I would say that part right there is a little bit edible. So by the time I break this all the way down, I'll have maybe 1 serving of watermelon out of this fairly decent sized fruit. Well, I wasn't planning on doing that. I am going to skip to some footage now of one I picked yesterday. Actual footage of one picked from the garden, following all of the recommendations for something that's ripe. Based on all the criteria, this should be a good watermelon. We got the nice, tight, small end to it there. It ripened on the vine, so we've got the stem here starting to dry out. We've got good coloring. The green stripes are nice and bright green. And then we have the bottom, which is yellow, which shows that it ripened in the field. But all that doesn't necessarily mean it'll be a sweet watermelon. Let's crack it open and see. I like to use a large pan like this to catch all the juices so they don't go anywhere. And something down there so it doesn't dull my knife. And let's cut into it. Now it should start to break as soon as we cut into it. Yep, there it goes. It popped. All right, we're all the way through it. That's a good looking watermelon. We're not ripe all the way out to the end of the rind there, but we're pretty close, and we've got some really, really deep red fruit here. Starting to be what I would call overripe here, and then we got some sugaring showing there. So let's cut off some of this rind and taste this thing. Got it split right there. That tells me that we might be onto something here with this one. Now the sweetest meat of a watermelon is always going to be the heart, so I'm going to test this heart. That's a really good watermelon. I wouldn't say it's perfect. Got lots of watermelon flavor, but not necessarily tons and tons of sugar, but definitely good. Cut it like this so every slice has a little bit of heart in it, and we're going to test this heart right here. All right, it's definitely juicy. I've got a little bit of what I would call seed starting in here, a little bit of veining here in the center, a little bit of like little strains of stuff there, almost like sprouts in the center. Usually that means that it's been on the vine too long. Yeah, it's almost sour. So that part's no good. I wouldn't eat that part. Okay, I had to cut that part out. It just wasn't good at all. So we're gonna go just inside of that. Try that. It's got some watermelon flavor, a little bit sugary, but I wouldn't say it's a perfect watermelon. And that's the point I'm trying to make in the video, is that we grow watermelon here, we nurture them, we do the best we can to give them all of the minerals and micronutrients and everything they need, constantly watered. Looking at the traits of the watermelon, the characteristics, everything tells us that should have been a perfect watermelon, picked right from the garden just a few minutes ago, and it's not. So I don't think there's a way to be in a supermarket and go through 20, 30 watermelons and pick out one that's ripe. I think it's total roll of the dice, and if you get a good one, then you celebrate, but I think you're gonna have to kiss a lot of frogs before you get a good watermelon. I'm going to continue to break this watermelon down and just show you how much of it I can salvage. And that's a pretty big watermelon. This is a 5-gallon bucket, and I'm taking all the rind off. So I'm leaving a little bit of red on the rind there, but it's not really that good. And I'm cutting this up small so it'll decompose quicker in my compost bin. So that's what we're left with that piece. We'll do the same thing over here. That heart, which is supposed to be super sweet, in this case is sour. And it's probably sour from sitting in the field too long. But it was still growing. There was not an indication that it should have been picked sooner. And that there, out of that big watermelon, is all that's really salvageable. That part right there. Okay guys, you saw from that footage that I got a little bit of salvageable fruit from that. Forgot about one more way you'll see a lot of people checking the watermelon. They'll thump them. Well, what are you listening for? I've been doing this all my life. I do it myself, and I don't even know what I'm doing. They say put your hand on here and tap over here and see if the vibrations go through. They say thump it, and you don't want to hear a hollow sound. You want to hear, I don't know what you want to hear. But I can tell you, that isn't going to tell you anything about this watermelon by thumping it. It might tell you the density of the meat inside. It might tell you that the fruit inside isn't rotten or something, but it isn't going to tell you if it's sweet. There's just no way it is. I will not know if this watermelon is sweet, and I grew it. I know everything about this, and I am waiting for the vine. The leaves are starting to die on the stem part. This is the biggest melon we have. It's probably 50 pounds or so. but I'm gonna wait until I'm as sure as I can be before I pick it. But I can tell you, last year we had about 12 of these come ripe at the same time. Had a little bit better yield last year than this year, and I would say 3 of those 12 coming off the same vines were really, really good, and the rest were mediocre. Mediocre, like, to the fact where for some of them I wouldn't even eat them. I just went ahead and you know, dug a hole and put them back in the garden. All right, we're at the end of the video, folks, and you're probably wondering what the big secret is. I said there was a big secret to picking a sweet, ripe watermelon, and the secret is there is no secret. There is no way to go to a grocery store, a bin of 50 watermelon, and pick out which one of them is any more ripe or more sweet than the other. If you like watermelon, then you just buy one, and it is simply going to be chance if, you know, you get a good one. And don't think if you got a good one this week at Walmart that you'll go back to Walmart and there's a new bin of watermelon that you'll get another sweet one. It truly is random. But in closing, I would like to hear your comments on this. Do you think you have a guaranteed foolproof method, or maybe even a method that's, you know, 50% effective at picking a sweet watermelon at a grocery store? If you do, put it down below. Let's talk about it, and I'll try it. It may not be this year, but next year we'll be growing another patch of watermelon, and I'll try it next year, and I'll make a video on it, and if it works, I'll give you credit. But that's going to wrap it up. So until next time, remember, life's short, tractor hard, and check out these 2 videos right here. They're pretty cool too.